Hi, I'm Michael Wan. Thanks for watching us today. Trump rages against special counsel Robert Mueller. That is the subject of today's op-ed. So President Donald Trump escalated his war on Robert Mueller, slamming the special counsel investigation in a series of tweets as a total mess that has gone absolutely nuts. Well, I agree with the president, but it is partially his fault to appoint Jeff Sessions as the AG. Well, he had no idea that Sessions would recuse himself, and that is exactly why this mess is continuing for over almost 2 years now. Is it a witch hunt? Any prudent American would say yes. Can Trump stop the probe all of a sudden? Yes, he has the power to do that. But there will be severe political consequences, and that's why he is not doing it. So this is what Trump wrote on Twitter. The inner workings of the Mueller investigation are a total mess. They have found no collusion and have gone absolutely nuts. They are screaming and shouting at people, horribly threatening them to come up with the answers they want. They are a disgrace to our nation and don't care how many lives they ruin. I think he's talking about people like his former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who's in jail right now. And he continues, these are angry people, including the highly conflicted Bob Mueller, who worked for Obama for 8 years. He worked 8 years as an FBI director under President Obama. And he continues, they won't even look at all of the bad acts and crimes on the other side. A total witch hunt like no other in American history. The attacks come shortly after Trump forced out Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who had recused himself from the investigation and named Matthew Whitaker as acting Attorney General. Whitaker is now overseeing Mueller. Thank God, because before it was Rod Rosenstein who oversaw the Mueller probe. But as you may already know, Rosenstein, he has so many conflicts of interest regarding this case. So it's good for the American people that Matthew Whitaker, the chief of staff under, the former chief of staff under Jeff Sessions, is now finally controlling the Robert Mueller Russia scandal probe. So fake news people are at it again. A lot of news sources reported that the expressions of public anger also comes after reports this week that the president has been stewing inside the White House, angry at staff and world leaders and seemingly deeply unhappy with the course of events. Really? When the mainstream media reports about these, I'm not sure whether it is real news or fake news. Other Trump tweets questioned why Hillary Clinton is being protected, and he charged that Mueller and his gang of Democratic thugs had ruined lives and accused Google, Facebook, and Twitter of bias in favor of Democrats. Do you think? And the president called this the real collusion. I think he's talking about shadow banning the conservatives on websites like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So there is collateral damage because of this ridiculous Trump-Russia collusion probe. Paul Manafort, like I told you already, Paul Manafort's life has been ruined completely. And people like patriots like Michael Flynn, he had to sell his house because of this ongoing ridiculous investigation. And today, I believe people like InfoWars, Jerome Corsi, and also Roger Stone, I interviewed him last year. I think they might be charged. Roger Stone said that in his podcast, that he might get charged by Robert Mueller. But let's see what happens. I don't think they have anything against Trump. And House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi ripped Trump over his tweets, saying that he continues to wage an all-out campaign to obstruct the Mueller investigation. Pelosi also said Trump installed Matthew Whitaker for one purpose, and that is to end the investigation. Well, President Trump didn't fire Robert Mueller, has he? So I don't know what Nancy Pelosi is talking about. So just hours before Trump's initial tweets, Vice President Mike Pence had a different take on the Mueller investigation in an exclusive interview with NBC's Vaughn Hilliard at the Asian Summit in Singapore. Pence said this, I think the people can be confident that we'll continue to cooperate, but they can also be confident that we are going to continue to focus on the issues that matter most to them. For much of the 2 months prior to Election Day, Mueller's probe into Russian electoral interference and possible ties between Trump's campaign and Moscow went largely quiet, because the Department of Justice guidelines that recommend not taking any law enforcement actions within 60 days of an election to avoid influencing voters were giving the appearance of swaying them. And during that time period, with no public developments on the Mueller front, Trump stayed largely quiet on the issue too. But with midterms now in the rearview mirror, Trump's criticism has resumed. So Trump said he completed written answers to questions posed by Mueller. It seems that the answers will pertain only to matters relating to Russian interference in the 2016 election, not obstruction of justice. If that is true, then I think Robert Mueller definitely have to investigate Hillary Clinton, DNC, and their own Russia collusion, which is a real collusion right there. Well, Trump says decreasing media favorability is a great achievement of his presidency. The president, in a recent interview with a Daily Caller, said he believes Americans are starting to realize that many media outlets like CNN, ABC, CBS, and NBC as fake news, as they should be. This is what the president said. You look at what's going on with the fake news and the people get it. And you know, they had a very high approval rating before I became president, and I think it's actually a great achievement of mine. Their approval rating now is down as low as just about anybody. So President Trump is right on that. I think President Trump, one of his biggest achievements is to make American people realize what they're watching on CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, or even MSNBC, that they are pretty much all fake news, especially regarding politics. Even other hard news, it seems like they always have an agenda. So President Trump also tweeted this morning regarding Robert Mueller. He said, when Mueller does his final report, I think it's coming pretty soon, when Mueller does his final report, will he be covering all of his conflicts of interest will he be recommending action on all of the crimes of many kinds from those on the other side? Whatever happened to Podesta? I think he's talking about John Podesta, who was the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton. And he continues, and will he be putting in statements from hundreds of people closely involved with my campaign who never met, saw, or spoke to a Russian during this period? So many campaign workers, people inside from the beginning, asked me why they have not been called. They want to be. There was no collusion, and Mr. Mueller knows it. I think Robert Mueller knows it. I mean, he has to. He has to know that this whole thing is fabricated by the Hillary Clinton campaign people and also some of the deep state people in the FBI. I think James Comey knew about the whole thing, and Loretta Lynch, the former AG, I think she knew pretty much about everything, and probably even President Obama knew everything, because if you look at the memo that was exchanged between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, one of the memos said, I think it was Peter Strzok's memo to Lisa Page. One of the memos said, I think the POTUS wants to know everything what's going on. POTUS meaning President of the United States. And at that time, it was President Barack Obama. So I think he got information every day. He got updated every day what's really going on. Which means that probably Barack Obama has been implicated in this whole Russia collusion nonsense. And even wiretapping the Trump campaign, if he knew about it. This is bigger than Watergate, people. This is the biggest Washington, D.C. scandal probably in the last 2 centuries. Even many people said that. People like the former Secret Service agent, Dan Bongino, he said that it's the biggest scandal in the past 300 years. And I believe that. This is a travesty that the mainstream media never covers it. It should be the top news on the New York Times and Washington Post and CNN, but it's not. That in itself is fake news right there. So I believe that the truth will come out. I think it's going to come out pretty soon. They have a hearing, I think. James Comey has a hearing on December 5th. He's supposed to show up. He said he's not going to show up unless it's televised. which is ridiculous. If it's televised, congressmen only have 5 minutes to ask a question, but if it's closed, they can ask questions, as long as they want to. So for him to ask a public hearing, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Why? Like what Trey Gowdy said, how come he didn't do those public questioning to Hillary Clinton or anybody related to her campaign? So what he's saying is complete nonsense right now. So I think James Comey, I think he's really worried. I think if I'm James Comey, I would be worried and I would be scared to death, regarding the upcoming hearing. And also Lynch, there has been some report that she has been telling the truth recently regarding her tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton back in I think that was 2016. So I think all the shenanigans, it's coming out. I think it will. The mainstream media, they can't hide from this. They're trying to hide as much as possible, but when it comes out, when the truth comes out, they have to report it. There's no way around it. They have been really despicable, corrupt, and spreading fake news, brainwashing a whole bunch of people who believe those news. Thank God that so many Americans don't believe that, don't believe those fake news. That's why President Trump got elected. But still, there are almost half of Americans out there who get deceived, especially the media people, especially foreign media outlets out there. I'm not just talking about Korean media. I'm talking about Japanese, Chinese, European media. They're all just spreading they're just translating all of these fake news, which is a travesty in itself. And so Trump tweeted this today. It came out 3 hours ago. So while CNN doesn't do great in the United States based on ratings, outside of the United States, they have very little competition. Throughout the world, CNN has a powerful voice portraying the United States in an unfair and false way. This is absolutely true. And he continues, something has to be done, including the possibility of the United States starting our own worldwide network to show the world the way we really are. Great. This is what I've been always saying all the time, especially the Korean media too. They just translate CNN, New York Times, and Washington Post without trying to dig in what's the real truth, So I hope that this changes. I hope that the media outside of America get their news not just from CNN or NYT or WAPO, these mainstream media, but also from other media outlets or alternative media outlets, because they have been reporting news that are true, not the mainstream media. But I believe one day, I believe probably next year around this time, things will be changed radically. And nobody can avoid this. Nobody can avoid this. I think the deep state, they're freaked out about the whole thing right now. I think they're really freaked out about especially the FISA application, being declassified. And I think that if Matthew Whitaker, the acting Attorney General, if he declassifies the FISA application, I think that will really bring so much chaos and so much shock to the public. And I'm just wondering how the mainstream media is going to try to spin this. To me, I think it will be impossible. How they wiretapped Trump campaign, how the FBI used a fabricated dossier that was cooked up by the Hillary Clinton campaign, how they can use that based on that and wiretap, Trump campaign. And they renewed it over and over and over again. And Rod Rosenstein was there. I believe Sally Yates was there. They're all implicated. And I don't know, probably they might get charged. Who knows? Who knows? But everybody is waiting for that day, and I'm really looking forward to it. Well, that's our show for today. Our show is not about left or right. It's about being right or wrong. To stay up to date with our latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.